Hi guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and you might hear a baby in the background. My granddaughter, she's checking out her voice. She's a little over a year old. So that might be a background sound that you hear during this review. We're looking at this today. This is the Peasant Knife by SVORD. I've done a little bit of work on the blade. This is the polyurethane handle version. You can get it with aluminum handle scales, steel handle scales. They've had titanium, they've had brass, wood, all kinds of handle scales for the Peasant knife. And it comes in at least two different sizes, the standard size, the regular size, this one, and a mini. And it's a very simple, straightforward knife style that simply works, and it does a good job. Once it's in your hand goes over the spine here, sort of a rust lock system, and that keeps it from, closing in onto the rest of your hand, because you can't go anywhere because it's got to lift up your hand here. So very secure in the hand, very simple, very straightforward. Carbon steel blade right here, and if you're interested in a very simple knife that I think works quite well at a very budget price, I think this is a really good choice to be my very first review for my third year of doing reviews on this channel. So stick around, let's keep watching Canadian Cutting Edge, and we'll take a good look at this knife coming at you right now. Okay, the first thing I want to say is I've done some work on this blade. Normally what you see is a shiny edge here for the bevel, and then you see the original edge, rough black edge. The way the steel came from the factory, it comes in thin cold roll, and SVORD takes those and punches out the blade shape, grinds the bevel, sharpens the edge, and all that other stuff. Cleans up what it needs to clean up, shapes it exactly right, and then stuffs it into the handle. So I've been sanding and trying to clean this up, and you can see, look at all these marks that are still on the blade. I got the factory patina off the side of the blade, but boy, it still looks pretty nasty, doesn't it? I have a newfound respect for knife makers who do a lot of hand sanding. There is no way that I can clean this up well enough. With a little bit of arthritis I have in my hands, you can see a little bit of deformity, in these two fingers here. There's no way I could make this knife look like the way knife makers make their knives look nice and clean and shiny on the bevels and everything. But I got it looking okay. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to do my very first attempt at an apple cider vinegar patina. It's going to show off these scratch marks like crazy, but hey, it'll protect the steel. It's worth a shot. I've never done it before, so we're going to see how that turns out. So I heated up some apple cider vinegar. It's about 85 degrees Celsius. Let's put this in there and see what happens with it. It's already started bubbling. Hope it can focus. Yeah, you can see that. I should check my watch so I have some time to see how long I'm going to leave it in there. After just 1 minute, it's boiling even more ferociously now. Or cooking, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's only been 2 minutes. Let's see how it looks now. Oh, wow, that's a black knife now. Or deep gray anyways. I like how that looks. Well, okay, now it's drying off. It's starting to be a little lighter gray. I think I'm going to leave it in there just a little bit longer. Sorry it's not focusing quite right. There we go. A little bit longer. Can always do more, but you can't do less unless you want to sand it all down again. Okay, so this is now 5 minutes. I think that's long enough. If I want to do it again, I'll do it again later. Look at that. Right down here, let it dry off. And we'll see how dark that is once it dries off. I just patted it dry and some of that comes off. It's just loose on the surface. Instead of putting it on paper towel, I'm just going to put it in a plate to dry off. And so I'm putting it back in here for a few seconds just to get that paper towel marks off of it. Because I've got no idea if that's going to be leaving a permanent mark or not. I've never done this before. First time's a charm. I'll see you again. I'll check back once this is dry and cooled off. The handle comes in a variety of ways. They've got polypropylene handles. They've got Zytel handles, depending on what size you want. They've got these handles in wood. They've got them in various metals, such as aluminum. They even had some in titanium. I think they were the mini ones. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about, I've got it in my cart in order for one of these with a solid copper handle and the same size blade. And then they've got this blade in a number of different styles. This is the basic standard, what they're calling the 3-inch. And you can get a small version that's shaped like this. And then you can get like a mini. And then you've got a mini with a little bit of an upswept blade, a small blade. You can get the SVORD Peasant, what they call heavy, and it's got a clip point blade, looks like a Bowie, and that's a little bit bigger. And all kinds of variety of handles. Very, very great number of options on these. SVORD is a company out of New Zealand, and in fact, New Zealand has embraced these knives. They started way back in '88. And most outdoorsmen in the United States, most outdoorsmen in New Zealand have SVORD knives. In fact, it's the best-selling outdoors knife in New Zealand. So just like Americans like to buy American, New Zealand guys recognize that the knife made right there in New Zealand is a very good knife. Now, it's a style of a knife that I can see is not well known in North America, and some people might balk at it just because it's different. That's not a good enough reason. There's a good reason to get familiar with this knife, and that is because it's a good knife. We've got carbon steel. Years ago, they used to use L6. For a while now, they've been using 15N20. 15N20 is the same steel that you have in almost every carbon steel Damascus knife that's out there. The most common combination is 1095 and 15N20, and the 15N20 is the shiny part of those two after it gets etched, and the 1095 is the dark on so many Damascus knives around the world. This stuff can take a Rockwell of around 58 or a little bit above 59, maybe 60 sometimes. All depends on, so many different things. Heat treatments is as much an art as it is a science. And these are done quite well. I've had a very good time using this knife. It's a very good user because you've got this full tang back here that locks into your hand. So when you're using this knife, you've got no problem if something hits the back of it. No big deal. It's not going to close onto your hand because it would have to go through the palm of this hand to get around to do it. So it's a very, very safe slip joint knife. The polypropylene handles is really good because you can just tighten this back screw, and that way it's nice and closed. That way when you go to close the knife, it'll squeeze and hold the blade, and they don't need a stop pin or anything on the side. You wouldn't want one anyways because you'd have to come on the edge of the blade. But that brings it in there nice and safe, keeps it from opening accidentally in your pants. See, if I shake it, I'm holding just the tang, and if I shake it, it stays together. No problem at all. Really, really simple, great design. Brian, the guy who owns SVORD, The first owner, the founder, manufacturer, he still owns the place and runs it. He got trained in knife making from an elderly Czech immigrant to New Zealand. He's actually still around. He's about 90 years old, something like that right now. And so Brian learned from a master cutlery man. What do they call them? Why am I not thinking of the word? Anyhow. And this is one of the most classic designs they have. I'll show you pictures of the inside of this right now. Very, very simple. Very easy to make knife. That's why you can get this knife at a really good price. Now, the best price in North America is you want to buy this, either go to Knife Works or Knife Center. Those two stores have these. They've got most of the stock and they've got some of the best prices. Blade HQ has got some decent prices. Their stock is very poor right now, very, very low. Amazon's prices are almost, well, roughly twice that they are at Knife Works and Knife Center, so Amazon's not a great choice, although I wish it was because I'm an Amazon associate. So Knife Works, Knife Center, I'll have links to those for you guys. If you live somewhere in some other countries, I think it's going to be best for you just to go shopping on your own, go to Google and do some searches and find the knives. I gave it only 5 minutes in some apple cider vinegar. I'd never done apple cider vinegar treatment on a knife before. The purpose of the apple cider vinegar is to give it a patina to help protect it from corrosion. So this is 5 minutes on this steel. And then, of course, it scrapes off a little bit. You can see how it's scraping off right there. And that's just from getting squeezed in here. And I don't mind at all. This is a budget knife. That's all just part of the character of the use of the knife. So no problem there at all. And, I really like it. You see New Zealand SVORD on there. And it's a good little knife. You can get this peasant knife in a giant version. You can get an 8-inch blade. It's a little over $100 US if you want to get that. I think that's kind of cool. Although the price is, that makes it a collector kind of thing, but it'd be a big user too. Man, that's a big knife. The prices of these, I talked about it very briefly about what place. I didn't give you the prices. We're talking about $13, $14, $15, so actually $14, $15, $16 US for this knife. In Canada, you're looking at $30 for this knife, 30 Canadian dollars. So that's roughly the price. If you want it with wooden handles, you're talking about $25 US. I didn't get a Canadian price for the wooden handles, but I'll have links for all that stuff down there in the description area below. What we've got is a saber grind. So it's a flat grind that comes up, half of the way up or whatever. When it comes new to you, you can see on the pictures at the websites that they don't have an exact line right here. These knives are not made by robots. They're handmade. So each one is slightly unique. That's a good thing. I like it when you employ humans. And so SVORD is employing humans to make his knives, and that's a really good thing. So it's a good store to support that way. So I've talked about Rockwell hardness. I've talked about everything else. The weight of this knife and all the other specs, I'll give you a still shot screen. You can read all that stuff. So that's going on the screen right now. And what's left to talk about, except for how good it feels in the hand, it's nicely rounded, nice texture of this on this polypropylene, feels very good in the hand, and lets you cut just about anything you want to cut. So here I've got some heavy 1/2-inch rope, and this is, what's the name of this kind of rope again? My mind is just drawing blanks. It's Easter weekend, and I've been doing a lot of different stuff, and my pain is causing my brain not to remember the names of everything. But we've got 1/2-inch rope here, and let's see how well it cuts. Cut right through that. No problem at all. Can it cut paper? It can cut paper all day long. Nice clean cut. You heard how clean it was, and you can take a look at that edge. Nice clean edge. You can get sheaths or pouches. I'm not sure what you want to call it for these knives, and all you'll see is a little bit of this tang hanging out. Those pouches are under $10 US. Some stores have them for $8, some have them for $9, some have them for $10. And of course, some stores have them for way more, but you can just get a nice real leather sheath. It's a simple sheath, but it's made well for this at those stores. I'll show you a picture of that right now. So what else do you need to know about this? We've got solid brass pins. I think it's brass, whatever it is, some kind of metal pins. You got solid metal pins, nice threading in there. You've got a stop pin. I think you can see this. Yeah, you can see the stop pin in there. Right there, there's a stop pin, and that stop pin touches the tang of the blade right here, so it can't go down any further. So that holds it all the way, and then the stop pin engages in here, in that spot right there, when you go to close it, and that stops the knife from closing too far. It's a nice knife. I really like it an awful lot. For the price, it's an awesome knife. Hopefully I'm going to get the copper one. I saw a store a couple of weeks ago that had titanium handle scaled one on sale for the same price as this copper one. Oh. And then when I went back, they're all sold out. It speaks to that motto, buy it when you see it. If you've got enough money when you see it, go ahead and buy it then. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough money right then, so I'm not kicking myself too hard. But I do have enough money to get that copper one, and I think I will be buying it. That's available at Knife Works. Let me read here. Aluminum ones cost about $17 at Knife Center. The wooden ones are from $26, $27 at Blade HQ, $29 at Knife Center. Knife Works has got the best price for the wood ones. And the copper one is 40% off at Knife Center right now for $25, so that's good. The heavy peasant, that's the one with the clip point, the one that looks like a Bowie, that's on for $25 at Blade HQ, and I think there's some other places that have it. And the heavy with polypropylene handles, Blade HQ has had them for $15. I don't think they've got stock of either of those right now. And the best price to get that giant 8-inch one, $103 at Knife Center. So all kinds of stuff. Check out the SVORD website. I think he's doing maintenance on the website right now. Today when I went and checked, the website was not available, and I think he's doing maintenance on that site today. Easter weekend, most people are out with their families instead of, doing knife shopping. But I wanted this to be my very first video for my 3rd year of Canadian Cutting Edge. So I had this video prepared ahead of time, but I decided I wanted to do this thing on my very first to sort of give my 3rd year a good start along the theme of good quality, budget knives. And I'm not dedicated to Chinese knives. I really like finding good things from other countries other than China. Although, Chinese knives aren't terrible either. I've got a lot of good knives from China that I like an awful lot. But here is a New Zealand handmade knife. Very, very good quality. Works good, looks good. You got many choices on the blade styles, handle styles, all these peasant knives just for you. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and I've got a giveaway video that's on the go right now. So if you haven't seen it yet, there'll be a link to that giveaway video right up here in this corner. You can click on that and join my giveaway. I've got some really good knives ready to give away for my 2nd anniversary celebration. Remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.